Hey everybody, good to see everybody. Howdy again. Glad you found it. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Uh, thank you. Great conversation today. Well, it's always great conversation with me and Lisa. We actually have great conversations before we start. It's funny to start late over there. It's because we're yapping.
Sorry,
Um,
guys.
so, I don't. Did you have you heard about what Walt said
Probably not.
AOC?
Probably not.
Let me check them out. Okay. He is going to make her the Speaker of the House.
I don't think there's any fear of that. So
Um,
no, not worried.
I still think there's a solid chance that she's going to win. Um, what happens after that is going to be, terrible and scary. But
Surely not.
what? That it won't be scary?
Oh, it would be terrifying. Like it
Yeah,
would be awful.
yeah,
Like
absolutely
if
terrible.
it goes that direction, like that is a whole nother like then our country has gone just straight up idiocracy, way dumber than I thought. We were way dumber than I thought it was gonna take. It was gonna take way more pain than I thought to wake people up. Like, and I know
Oh,
you give me a hard time. You're like, Lisa, I know you live where you live, and so you don't realize like there's way more people that really do like her and
yeah.
all that. And I'm like, no, it's just that they're silent. Like,
There's people, and there's a
there's
lot of silent people. That was something. I don't know if you know who Zachary Levi is, because
mm-mm,
he played Shazam.
no.
He lives in Texas. He's huge, like one of the biggest actors. And he came out and said, "Hey, I'm gonna vote for Trump." Huge deal. When everybody went crazy in Hollywood, but that's the thing. He came out and said, "See, there's so many of us that we're this like silent people here. We can't talk about it." But he's like, "I feel like it's either now or never. Like the country's done if we don't." And The View said, people like to say Hollywood leans left and is all Democrat, and they say Democratic, but it's all Democrat, but it's not. There's a lot of conservative actors, and they said one. She said one. Whoopi Goldberg said one actor, John Voight, um, and then she could think of someone else, and someone else said Dennis Quaid. Dennis Quaid. It's like, and then leave. So Zachary Levi came out and he did a rebuttal, and he's like, "There's thousands and thousands of actors, and you literally could only come up with two." He said, "That's what he said." He lives in Texas, and works in Hollywood, but he's his career suicide for him to do what he did.
I'm sure.
Um,
You are seeing I also saw a story about, let's see, WAPO, USA Today. There was one other magazine or a newspaper that refused to endorse Kamala. Um, that was a positive thing. So,
but we need the biggest thing. You could say it's the First Amendment, and then there's a good argument for that. But I think it's so hard because we shouldn't ever have to make these decisions or make these quantify these comments. But the Second Amendment is super important because it protects all the other ones.
mhm.
But the freedom of press, we need a free press. The press is the guardians of the truth, and the people are the guardians of all the other rights. But the truth and information, we can see now, but we've seen through history how easy it is if one populace can get a hold of owning the truth, of owning the information. Um, they can burn books. They could, and now it's even easier. There's so many people I've seen making like TikTok videos or like hey, I got this book from 1890 and it says completely opposite stuff from what, or encyclopedias up until 1920 said this about, dragons, and there's so many other things that have been changed. Um, that there's 13 months. There's originally 13 months. There's all these publications, encyclopedias, all farmers, all these things from like the 1800s and before that say there was 13 months. Um, and you know what the first month is?
Okay, so I know like that you're off. Like November's supposed to be the 9th month, October's supposed to be the 8th month,
You know how
Oct
you always
eight
talk about the
Nov 9th because it's all Latin.
you always talk about
Um,
the fiscal calendar.
yes,
It matches up more with that. The
right,
first month is March.
right.
The first
Which they used to vote, right, in March, or they used to inaugurate in March. I can't remember.
guys of March are upon you.
Was it they would
So
vote
it
in
was
March or inaugurate in March? I can't remember. I think vote earlier and then inaugurate in March. Yes, maybe that was it.
which is something that's what they attacked in the beginning. And one of the funniest things, so there's a guy, I don't know if you follow him, Luke Radowski, and there's other like big big hard hitting journalists. Um, Luke Radowski does this video. It's from like probably 10, 12 years ago, but I still like to watch it every now and then. He goes up to the boogeyman, what's his name, Rothschild,
Oh,
and he's talking to him like a regular. Yeah, Luke and PBD, they're awesome, and PBD is kind of middle of the road, but he goes up to Rothschild and he's like, blah blah blah, how you doing? Softball question, and then he's like, what do you do about the like kids and this and that? And then the guy like, oh, he's like, oh, it's you're real journalist, and then he corners him. He goes, we're not scared of you. We're not scared of you. You're not in control. You don't rule us. We're coming after you. It was like
oh,
so.
I love it.
And this, he's just an old man, and he's not, this powerful ghoul who drinks the
Mhm.
blood of the innocent.
Yeah.
But uh, so yeah, it's gonna be something bad. Forget about BRICS, forget everything else. Just our own country. If because like everyone knows, it's so obvious. Like Hillary was supposed to win. I think that like Rogan said, there's a degree of cheating that is allowed, or that they can do, but it's only a certain percentage. Because I remember 2016, I'd never seen anything like it. Driving by the Civic Center, there's a
People showing up.
line of
Yeah.
people around. I mean, everywhere there was just more people out voting than I'd ever seen in my life.
Well, and Trump said the other day, like he admitted, like when we were talking about the watermark stuff, a few years ago, all the bigwigs were like, no, 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 that's just some Q nonsense, whatever. Trump talked about it the other night again.
Mhm.
And he's talking about the too big to rig. And I believe that they did it again in 2020 and caught them all. Like,
Yeah, I think 2020 they pushed it past the limit, and that's why they wanted to hurry up. Because anyone with a brain or a June elementary school education could see,
mhm,
if you have 800,000 registered voters, but you had
and
800.4
yeah,
thousand votes,
votes. Yeah.
then something's wrong.
Right.
Maybe you're not gonna don't say it was a cheat, don't say it was a steal, but something's wrong, and you should look at it. And they're like,
Mhm.
no, 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 we can't look at anything. That's not how it works. We got to just
And just the fact that they went ahead and certified it, that's what was wrong. You don't have to go past that.
yeah.
That was wrong.
It's very basic,
Right.
very basic.
That was the treason.
Mm.
The fact that that was certified, yeah.
Believe there was a huge thing that could have happened that would be a bigger distraction than that. On that day,
Mhm.
the 6th,
Because they orchestrated it to be the
I'm
distraction.
yeah,
Yes.
like when you look back,
Yep.
that makes some sense.
Right.
It comes together.
They needed
Um,
a distraction. Yeah.
and so there was, this is years and years ago. There's, that asshole snotty dude on CNN. Um,
Which
he
one?
worked at the White House. He was the White House guy,
Oh.
and just a real. So he did something terrible with, I don't know, mistresses or something, lied. And then this guy who had like a YouTube channel with, couple 100,000, he was an independent journalist. But Maven Radowski was following him and asking him questions. And the guy said, like, "Who do you work for again?" And he goes, "I'm an independent journalist. I got a YouTube channel." Blah, blah. He goes, "Oh yeah, you working? You live in your mom's basement too?" Just teasing him, making fun of him, going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember during the outbreak, he was sitting at his kitchen table doing the news. And then I was thinking, man, this other guy gets, hundreds, thousands, millions of views, and he's now this guy is sitting at his kitchen table like he was teasing this dude, and he's,
Mm.
and he's trying, they're trying to be more like, this guy was that he was making fun of. So I thought that was hilarious, but.
Mm.
And that's, I think we're seeing that when we're seeing a lot of alternate journalism become validated.
Yeah, look at Lara Logan. I mean, she went through an awful, and
Yeah,
Megyn
Megan Kelly,
Kelly.
Tucker
I mean,
Carlson.
yes,
There's
a
like
lot of them.
legitimate, or that, well, that's where I'm going. When
Mhm.
you can, and before it was, I have to have a corporation. I have to be a corporation. I'm gonna leave, like Tucker. I'm gonna leave Fox. I'm gonna have to go start, you know, some other kind of news agency. But you don't. It's you don't have to. You know.
Right.
Um,
Well, Steve Bannon was released from prison today. Um,
that's
just
cool. Okay.
talking about that, that's a perfect example. And now he's, been validated, and probably from him having to be in federal prison for 5 months, he's now like got more street cred, I would think,
Mm-hmm.
with people, because he went through that, because he was wrongly accused, locked up. You know, they weaponized the government against him
Yeah.
for his free speech.
Which I was trying to get him on to talk to him before he went to jail. So hopefully I can get him on now. Yeah, like
Nice.
Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck went off, starts the blaze. That was the way it had to be.
Yeah.
And but now it's not. It's not. And I remember when Laura went out on her own, and she had to like, my channel was bigger than hers, and I was like,
Wow.
"Oh, that's so terrible. That's so sad." But she just didn't take long, and now she's, a powerhouse.
That's
Same
amazing.
with Trump's daughter. She started her own channel, does her own show. You know, it's growing, and then once you become a decent size, you're a talking head, and you're going back on those shows, and they're going to you. So it like now I'm watching, watching CNN or BBC or whatever, and they got Tim Pool. They got people from PBD podcast. Those are the people that they're going to.
Mhm.
Um,
I just hope they hold their integrity, because I watched some people, like, in the crypto world and stuff, that, like, um, you know, got big or whatever, and then it went to all about getting the sponsors and,
mhm.
not being authentic, and it was
Oh yeah.
like, I'd rather be broke and authentic and not sell out my community, and, and be able to speak freely, th than
But also
just go right back to that
most of those
talking.
people like us, we're not. But like most of those people, like that's what they want to do with their life.
Right, that's
They
true.
want
But
to
they just
accomplish
wanted
to
to
be a
be a
journalist. They
censorship. Yeah.
that was what they wanted to do, and then they were put into this industry that had been totally corrupted.
Mhm.
We watched it get corrupted. Like you can't have, and it's so much mirrors crypto because and I argued with all of the people that were right, like Rhodes and Greg and everyone's like, no man, we got to stay away from the institutions and they're bad.
Mhm.
It's like, yeah, but it'll so much growth, the word will get out, and then the people will learn. And once people look down the rabbit hole, then they learn it. People don't look down the rabbit hole if they go to an ETF. People don't look down the rabbit hole, and I didn't think about that. I just thought about numbers coming in and people learning, and everything. And everyone thinks they're normal. Like you think you're normal, and a lot of times I'm like, no, you're a really weirdo. I'm weird. We're weird. But everybody thinks
everyone else is like you, or
everyone.
like
Yeah, you think everyone else is maybe a little different, but I remember this. This it was a friend of my son's, and he was so into LeBron James, and he's like LeBron James is bigger than Elvis and whoever. I was like, no, he's not. He's like he said everyone in America knows who LeBron James is. I was like, no, and he's like, I said at least 95% of people. I was like, no. I said I bet you half the people in the United States don't know who LeBron James is. And he's like, no. So I bet him $20, and we were at HEB. And I just was like, oh, excuse me, ma'am. Do you know who LeBron James is? And like only 3 people knew. I did go to like really old ladies and stuff. He couldn't believe it. He was like, I don't understand. And I was like, because that's how we are. We think that whatever we are into, we know.
Mm-hmm.
Like still, when someone says, oh, I've never seen the Star Wars movies, I'm like, what? And then I want to, like, okay, well, what's that we're doing? Come on over. Muhammad Ali, he was, I don't know, Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray, and Tyson. Those are the trinity of boxing for me, man. But yeah, I love Muhammad Ali before I knew who Muhammad Ali was, and now I know who Cassius Clay is or was. Like his parents had to be like so super cool to name him after Cassius Clay. Okay, so Tim Walz said that he was going to make AOC the Speaker of the House.
Gonna make her famous.
Which is I can't believe that. That's I think she's probably going to get voted out next time. I don't know if she's going to be able to hold on, and to make her, but I don't know if Pelosi would ever allow that. Supposedly she's the real person that runs stuff. But it does show. And also about the Chinese spy with Walz.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, this just came out. I just saw this. Okay.
I thought he was homosexual. Well, I guess he could be a gay Chinese spy. I don't know.
He could be bi.
Yeah. Or that. I don't care. It's
Okay,
none of my business.
So
none of my business. I don't care.
Here we go. I'll send you.
As long as I'm not paying for it in extortion fees or whatever. They, remember when they were showing like that Congress paid $17 million in sexual harassment.
Yeah, there's a fund that's set up for it. That's like always funded. Here, there's a link there. If you could share that, we'll talk about it. So Walz, I hate Walz. My kids love him.
What?
Oh yeah, they love him. I think he's a nice guy, good guy. The free lunches is what got him for kids. Which I agree. It's every state should be able to give free lunches to their government school kids, but his thing about the forcing people to did you get the link?
Sorry, I wasn't. I'm not to say anything.
The forcing people to surrender before they can defend themselves.
Hold on, I can't see where I am.
I have one time. Yeah, he did message me, which
slide.
was interesting.
Slide or video file?
He messaged me about Mila going on to Kimmel, and he wanted me to watch it. He said that she was going on, and I should check it out.
Okay, can you see that?
Yep.
Then I have to get back. It takes me a minute.
Yeah. So, so I didn't know this, but so Walz was in China as teaching, and he had an affair with a very high-ranking Chinese Communist Party's daughter. If we put a serial number $1, we could do it to a ballot. Count the serial numbers. Voters should see their serial number ballot. Yeah, that's very similar to putting it on blockchain too. You would just know the block. But yeah. So this is. I think this is a huge. Can you imagine if this was anyone on the right? Swalwell literally had sex with a Chinese spy, and nobody cared. And he's on the Intelligence Committee, which is just even more mind blowing. That's what his patents for with a watermark for the ballots. Not for your vote though. Yeah. Once again, the whole system is destroyed, and it's funny because I was listening to Kamala was talking about ICE when she was talking about destroying ICE. She said there comes a point where you've got to take it all down, like we always say, start from the ground up, burn it down. But if you talk about that in terms of the FBI, and my best friend came down for this reunion, and he gets so mad when I talk about this, but because he was a spy, and he was a Navy SEAL trainer, and then they sent him to Langley. He was a spy, but he didn't. He wanted to be a spy, but he hates lying, so that bothered him, and he couldn't do it. That's why he didn't like stay there and pursue it more. Where was I going with this? What did I just say?
Your best friend came down, which I thought I was your best friend, so I was.
You're my current best friend.
I'm just kidding. You were talking about him coming down, and he wanted to, but then he didn't.
Oh yeah. So I'm talking to him. We're talking about how terrible everything is in the government. And he's been, in those places, but it was a long time ago. And I told him, I was like, people balk and they freak out, like talking about closing, shutting down the FBI but we don't need a Department of Homeland Security. We have an FBI. We don't need it's not like we need the NSA and the CIA. He goes, yeah, honestly, we don't need the NSA and the CIA and everything. Like we need to keep tabs on our enemies. We need to have a secret service kind of thing, but we don't need 3 or 4. There's so much, and like I said, like we talked about last week, that no alphabet letter agency in the history of the United States has ever been closed for spending or for. There's always money that seems to be able to. It's more like if you want to be in the intelligence community, you must have sex with Chinese money. It's getting to be that way. It's like a rite of passage or something. But he's been in in that world. And he's like, yeah, we really don't need it. You're right. We could shut down so many of those, or just and consolidate and distribute it. Twitter, like everyone puts the meme up, Elon fired like 90% of people, and Twitter runs just as good or better than it did before. It's actually better because there's like more better fact checking and stuff. Um, so it's definitely possible. I feel like it's a waste to have Elon involved with the government, but I think we're at a point where it kind of needs to happen. But I thought this was interesting, and you're not going to hear about this in the mainstream media. It's not going to be talked about that he, did this. I'm sure.
I don't think they care.
No, it's fine.
And they're like, it's in the past.
Yeah, unless it's someone else's past. You liked a tweet by Ben Shapiro 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the joke. But it's I thought it was a huge thing. I didn't know that he had that connection to China.
I'd be curious her age and versus his at the time. Probably significant. If I had to guess.
Probably.
Just curious.
Probably. I also thought it was interesting that all of these entertainers that were rather apolitical came out and forcefully supported Kamala after Diddy.
Mm-hmm.
Like Beyonce and I knew it. That they're on there. They're big time, and she came right out.
Well, and I can't believe that like the normies are so quick to defend these stars because they but I like their music and I don't want to feel bad about liking this music. And so leave me alone with liking this music, even though like it's in your face that they may be harming children.
Yeah, well, there's, like Keith Moon took a young girl, kept her locked in a.
I don't know who that is. I'm sorry.
He's the drummer for the Who. And he locked this girl in a hotel room for like 2 weeks, abused the shit out of her.
Oh my God.
Bowie came over, raped her a couple times.
Oh my God.
And like everyone knows about it. But he was, the best drummer. He's a great drummer. He's an amazing drummer. There's always been like the better artistic you are, the more you can get away with because we love what you're giving us. You know what I mean? It's the most, which is what I always say is the most evil thing, is selfishness. It's like you can get away with this because you're giving me what I want. I love what you're doing. But now once you listen, once like you hear the music and you just don't respect the talent as well. It's like, yeah, he's a great drummer, but maybe Neil Peart's better.
It's like eating at McDonald's. Once you know, like, are you ever going to eat there again?
Ted says this. I don't know, but so he was at McDonald's when he was a kid, and he said that they were cleaning the grease trap underneath, where the drain, and they opened the drawer and it was full of maggots, just teeming with maggots. So since he was like probably 11, 12, he will not eat McDonald's. He'll eat like a parfait or ice cream or a salad. But
that's usually broken anyway.
Anything cooked.
That's not happening.
Nothing cooked because of the scarring that he had, but from seeing that. I have actually a bit of a phobia of maggots, so if I saw it, I'd probably freaked out.
Billions served.
Lyrics are part of the propaganda. Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but when Trump worked at McDonald's, it was staged.
Well, of course
He
it
didn't really
was.
work there.
Of course it was.
It was, it was, but that was what they like. Were it was. That's what all the news agencies are reporting. It was staged. It was staged.
But it was
No,
also about him having a conversation with them about RFK educating him about the beef tallow that used to be used up until like the 80s or 90s, and that, hey, we need to go back to beef tallow. You guys now use cottonseed oil, which was originally created to
for fishing.
grease machinery. And why are you using
Also,
that?
potatoes for McDonald's are highly poisonous.
Yes, toxic. Yes,
Like the farmers can't be around them for like 2 or
yes,
3 days. They have to air out.
right,
Yeah,
right.
but they look nice. They do look nice.
But they're a special kind of potato that's specifically
Yeah,
grown that emits toxins, yes,
yeah, and
and then we feed our babies that. Yeah,
yeah, in a
so
happy meal.
dangerous.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, and that's what I think that was the real message. That's what was, but of course, that's, not what got out. But that's what, if you're looking, the message is there. You just have to really look for.
yeah. And like I said something about Cetos to the boys, and they're like, "Oh, Dad, it's all bullshit, man. You're just listening to the crazies."
Well,
So
you choose.
people,
Choose
yeah,
your own adventure. You choose. You
yeah,
choose what the truth is.
swarm to feed us poison. Well, also,
Mhm,
just to see that this is another thing. This is a basic ask why thing that we talk about.
mhm.
So, why does our guardians, which is what the government's supposed to do, is to protect you? Why does our guardians of our health, the FDA, allow over 1,000 chemicals that are illegal in other countries? Meanwhile, medications that are like life saving, they do not allow because they haven't gone through the rigorous, expensive testing process. But they're
Because it's the same thing that Dr. Red and I talk about. It's the same thing that I am, and I just talked about yesterday. He was talking about the swarm and that they do it for this biofeedback, this loop, whatever, to control us and to keep giving them power and all that. But Dr. Reg talks about, and he was pursued and almost jailed by the FDA, and every single drug.
I want to tell you something. We got to talk about something.
Well, hold on. You asked why.
I
The
know, but I
FDA,
remember something. We talked.
every single drug that is on the market has to go through a process, and it absolutely must have what's called a lethal dose, an LDA or lethal dose amount. It must be able to prove that at some point it can reach a lethal dose and be able to kill you.
Mm,
If a drug cannot reach lethal dose and prove that drug can kill you, it will not be approved. That should scare the hell out of everyone.
I know. So that's one of
That,
those fun things. So remember, I talked about uh, the FCA, the communications, the Federal Communications.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
How they
Mhm.
Where are they? Why are they not doing anything?
Right,
Why is fake news allowed to be rampant?
right.
Why are they not finding everyone? They used to be so huge in the 90s and
Yeah, I
80s.
remember if somebody cussed on
Yeah,
air, they would be like, "Oh, we're gonna get a
Howard Stern said
fine."
something, he gets hit with 100 grand. I mean, it was always.
Mhm.
That's just the reason for the censors and on the network TV. 60-minute interview. They've come out of the woodwork and they're doing an investigation. I haven't heard because some, uh, NGO, conservative, like sued them or brought to them for why aren't you doing your job? So
Mhm.
they've come out and they're doing a big investigation into 60 Minutes as to that they're putting out lies and they doctored the interview. So they're actually going after.
And they changed her answers? Is that
Yeah,
what they're talking
yeah.
about?
So this could be the death of 60 Minutes, which I think would be awesome.
Epic.
I think if they killed, that's like one of the biggest legacy, oldest trust. If you
Mhm.
kill that, if your government kills it, takes their license,
Yeah.
threatens, CBS, we either take your license or you kill the show. I think that's such a huge
It
turnaround.
would lift the veil to a lot of
It would
people.
be and then it would also scare the shit out of everyone.
Yeah.
That okay, so if the people stand up and demand this from, because they've been ignoring it, they're like, we haven't been greasing them palms good enough.
Well, Trump threatened to sue him. He said, "Should I sue him? That's election interference. Maybe I should sue him."
Mm-hmm.
So that could be one way of it
He doesn't
happening.
have to do that. This is what should happen.
They should do
If the
their job.
government works
What you're
right,
saying.
this agency that's supposed to regulate that should have regulated it. They should have went after the Russia hoax thing. They should have
Yeah.
went after that's
They
the
haven't.
Hunter laptop. They should have said, you said that this was fake. And then they would have to go to court and prove this guy told me in the government that it wasn't fake. This guy told me in the government that it was fake. This guy in the government told me that it was Russian counterintelligence. And then those people would have to answer. So that's what's supposed to happen, but it doesn't. If they don't ever do the investigation, so there's never any kind of accountability. And now, if it shows that there's some kind of accountability, things will change. Things will definitely change. I guess that's about. We should wrap it up.
We should, but I love talking about all this stuff. It gets me all fired up. Thank you guys for joining us in the
Yes,
chat.
thank you all for
Please
joining.
give Sean a big like.
Yes, give me a big like and see. Are you going to be on Blockchain Roundtable on Thursday?
I don't know. We have. I think Cannon has. No, we're in the hospital on Thursday.
So I'll probably be there then. Okay.
Okay. Tell everybody I love them, and I'll try to listen in between stuff.
Okay. Trying to see what to go out on. Nah. There was something else I wanted to tell you. It was something I saw on Sunday Cool.
Happy Catter Day. Happy Cats Day. National Cat Day.
No.
Okay.
And we'll just go with this.
We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics. Folks, we got a lot of work to do. I don't only need you to get me elected, I need you once I'm elected. No longer just who gets to vote or making it easy for eligible people to vote. It's about who gets to count the vote and whether your vote counts at all. It's about who gets to count the votes, whether they should count at all. But who gets to count the vote? Count the vote. Count the vote. It's about election subversion, not just whether or not people get to vote.